Twitch in some ways as well. Very talented, sometimes get a bit unstable in terms of emotion-wise.
Heated
and emotion-wise, but a star player. I'd say like bringing in Vel, that's a different type of player. That's a player that is left without a team. He decided not to go with Heroic, so he's willing to do some of the shit that Magic's weren't willing to do. That's a simple way to put it, and I think that is very beneficial for North right now.
I like it. I like this. Pimp doesn't sugarcoat it, and he's saying sometimes what others are thinking. Now, Janko, on the other side of things, there isn't there's a completely different story unfolding here for Gambit. I mean, it's not the story of they have a config that's going to run around and do what he needs to do. The roster change seems to be much more of a kind of a slow, almost unnoticeable shift.
Yeah, I mean, it was a question mark also in terms of roles, right? Zeus, when you're the in-game leader, you usually have a more passive position, so you can think about what's going on in the round and direct your teammates. But Fitch, his mechanical skills are rather impressive. We saw it yesterday in their series versus Astralis that, he was leading the pack almost in some of the rounds, especially on Mirage. And what I loved that I have seen from Gambit yesterday is on Mirage, even though it's a weaker map for them, they understood the approach they needed to take in order to have a chance to beat Astralis. And yes, every read was correct. That's not going to happen very often, but the approach was right. And as long as that happens, if the game ends and you still lose, you're going to be like, okay, we tried our best. That's the way we had to play. It didn't work out. They've beaten us fair and square.
A 16-6 victory versus Astralis. I mean, that was baffling a lot of us here at the desk. And we'll be talking more. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of this series and hopefully giving you more insight on what these two teams have to offer on that stage. But first, we have to get them on it. And so, please, Malma, make some noise as we introduce your second semi-final. It's going to be none other than North and Gambit taken to the stage.
Our team is strong right now because of atmosphere. Fitch, he's awesome. And he made our team stronger.
Well in middle, he's so fortunate to get away. Device extremely low. Peering up at the windows, and Astralis, they're losing too much, and they're all gone! Jumping shot from Fitch.
That retake looked so easy.
It feels great to reach the semi-final. It's our very first LAN event with this lineup, and yeah, to make it to top 4 at the first event is pretty unreal, so...
Missing a couple of shots and falling back. The pressure is on. Config gets one headshot. Another third. Oh my god! Config shutting down Immortals. There is nothing you can do against that, is there?
Now, I think it's our time. And we should win now. It's our chance.
I think we have a better structure, and I think we have better individual skill on our team. So it's just to prove it.
And for the second semi-final of today, welcome on stage, North and Gambit.
On the one side of the stage stand your major winners -1. Dosia, Adren, Mo, Hobbit, and New Blood Fitch. They like him, we like him, we'll see what he can do versus these Config, Valda, MSL, AZ, and Cajun B. The Danes likely have a bit of a fan favorites going on here. I've seen plenty of Danish flags in that crowd, but that's not what's gonna stop the boys from Gambit. In fact, nothing seems to stop them at this point in time. You lose your leader, and I feel like our story has to change, maybe even eating our words somewhat, because if anything, and Hobbit seems to have a smile on his face when he says it, they feel better. Fitch.
Yeah, that's
awesome. He's awesome.
Awesome. He loves it. He's riding the high from his wedding, but there's something that we really have to note, there's something that we really have to point out here is the fact that neither of these teams had an easy route to this position. North had to beat SK, one of the teams who I would have considered a tournament favorite, and Gambit had to take down Astralis again, and did that 2-0. That's two big scalps, two huge scalps, teams who I would have been expecting to make the grand final, or at least one of them. Neither of them here because of these two teams. So right now, Gambit have definitely shut me up. I thought that they were going to be pretty woeful coming out of this, especially without Zeus. I thought the major run was a fluke. If they can come out here and bring it against North, a team who is looking amazing at the moment, maybe with that honeymoon period as well, the addition of Valda is definitely bolstered these guys' roster. This is a big matchup. This could have been the grand final.
I mean, not only have they defeated Astralis at the major in the semi-final, they are the first team to stop Astralis from making top 4 with this lineup, which has been almost a year from now that they've made a change. So very impressive for Gambit. Everyone seems to contribute. I noticed a lot of times that would be a cool thing to get maybe in an interview, that during timeouts, actually Hobbit is very, very vocal, and he's relatively new to this scene. Also, it has been a year since he joined Gambit, so I wonder whether he's the one who helps Adren a lot now in this new lineup.
So not only is Dosia the X squad, he's also the record breaker, because wasn't he part of the team that stopped the NIP? The NIP 87?
Yes.
Yeah, he was.
And now he's gone and done it for the Astralis year, the Astralis top 4 year.
That's your answer. X squad is the key.
X gonna give it to you, maybe. We'll find out. I wasn't proud of that
A few
one.
people want the X-God to give it to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Who doesn't? Jokes and memes aside, this is where I have to ask kind of the tough questions, which is win conditions. You know, where on earth do you separate these two teams? Because we don't know that much about them. We know, as Chad says, incredible start here in Malmö. We thought the reason we celebrated when we saw the playoffs was because SK